What's up, Transtastic? I'm your guest this week. My name is Cain, and you may have seen me sub in for Val a few months ago. Well, I'm back because I have purchased a guest perk for the Philadelphia Trans Health Conference. This week the topic is video games. I've played video games pretty much my entire life, from the point when I was 4 years old and my mother had like a Sega handheld and I was playing Sonic, to a couple of years later when we moved into a different apartment complex and the neighbor kid had a Super Nintendo and we played Super Mario World together. Disclaimer, I do realize that I am incredibly privileged to be in a position where I am represented by this medium. So throughout most of my childhood, I used video games as a medium to escape from my gender dysphoria and just my general feelings of things not matching up and generally being unhappy. And the first video game that ever really resonated with me was Pokemon. If you know anything about me, then you know that I love Pokemon, like, a lot. I mean, what 10-year-old doesn't dream of being a Pokemon trainer? But a lot of it just stemmed from the main character was a boy, and this was my first RPG, like playing as somebody else, and I was so happy. You know, I was just a kid. I was just happy that I had a character who I could relate to. I wouldn't even call it relating to. It was just a character that I could project my own, life onto and live vicariously through, with tiny animals that fight each other for money. And also gym badges. Even after the second generation, where they let you choose your gender. That was the second generation, right? May have been the third. But regardless, as soon as they gave you the option to switch, to choose boy or girl, I never, ever chose the girl option. And I was always worried about somebody getting into my games and seeing this and being really about it. For example, for my 19th birthday, I got Heart Gold. Yeah, I got Heart Gold. I was just ecstatic about it. But a lot of my friends ended up getting Heart Gold too, so we would battle and trade, and I was just always a little bit worried because at that time I was not out to anybody and I hadn't accepted myself as trans. So I was just worried about eyebrows that may or may not have been raised, and because my character clearly had a male name, but nobody said anything. And when I ended up coming out to these people, they were all very supportive, so I'm very grateful for that. From Pokemon came Tony Hawk, less RPG, but still fun. And after that was a lot of Jak and Daxter type stuff, until I was 16 when I discovered this game by Bethesda called Oblivion. And Oblivion sucked my life into it. I put well over 300 hours into a single campaign, and I played 6 campaigns. I was really into Oblivion. And 16 was probably around when my gender dysphoria started to get at its worst. It got worse until I actually started transitioning or coming out socially. But at that time I was really seriously unhappy, and then I made this elf character. And all the men in Oblivion are ripped, and so I was like, alright, I'm just gonna be this ripped elf dude, and I just kind of lived vicariously as the man that I wanted to be, because the thing about Oblivion is it's much more realistic than Pokemon is, even though you can't dogfight for gym badges. Most of my love of video games comes from side-scrollers and RPGs, especially love RPGs to this day. Lately I've been playing a lot of Skyrim. I've probably put over 700 hours into that game. Serious life sink. No, I'm not ashamed though. I love that game. Another really good game, if you haven't heard or played it before, is Mass Effect. Mass Effect, the whole premise of Mass Effect, really, without too many spoilers, is space travel. And I feel like it really hits the nail on the head with a lot of serious issues that are going on today, like racism. The only thing is Mass Effect kind of drops the ball because there isn't very much representation of people who aren't white. Except in the second game, I think there's one person of color. But he's the first person you meet, and he's pretty awesome. A lot of the people you're interacting with are people from other planets who do not look like humans, who have different skin tones, with completely different skeletal structures. So you could have people who were very much like the Roswell, New Mexico, Roswell type aliens, and then people with like tentacles for hair, or people who look sort of like hunchback dinosaurs. It's just a really cool game, and there's a lot of tension between the humans and the non-human people, and a lot of the non-human people are very reluctant to trust the humans, and I think they all have pretty compelling points. The cool thing about Mass Effect, though, is that so far there are 3 games. I've heard they're going to release a 4th, but you can port your save file from Mass Effect 1 to 2, and from 2 to 3, and so on. So you can keep playing as your character, and characters who die in that game stay dead throughout the series. I just think that's a really cool, like, progression that you don't really see a lot of. I also really enjoyed the Fable series, Team Fortress 2. I don't play too many MMOs, but if I do, it's always going to be Team Fortress 2. It's easy to play, it's free, it's fun, and you don't get a lot of like mean people on it, which is kind of aversion to playing an MMO. Is just, I know that I am not very good at video games, so I don't want to expose myself to any sort of like hostile reactions to how poorly I am playing. Another really cool video game is this shooter. It's called BioShock. I feel like it could have improved on a lot, but overall the world of Rapture is really cool. And I mean, the story was a little lackluster, but I would if somebody would make a Pokemon or BioShock with like Skyrim graphics, I would be so content. Just like an open world Pokemon. I feel like this is what people in our generation has been dreaming of, an open world RPG with just spectacular graphics with Pokemon. Oh my god, I would never leave my house. Another cool video game that maybe and a lot of people may not have heard of is called Braid. It's a puzzle game, so you kind of it's a puzzle game without being like a straight up puzzle. I don't know, it uses a lot of interesting side-scrolling mechanics with a cute story. I still haven't beat it though, so don't tell anybody. Half-Life is an incredible game. So is Portal, another puzzle game. Another puzzle game. I could just go on and on. I love video games, and video games have really saved me. It's what I do to decompress from work. I'm pretty isolated from my friends, so if there's nobody around to hang around with, I'll just go to video games or book. But a lot of the times I don't really feel like reading. Don't tell anybody that either. I love books. I'm sorry, books, I'm cheating on you with video games. Another thing I want to mention is Homestuck, which is not a game, but they're developing into a game. But the whole premise with Homestuck is a comic that reads as a video game. The whole first act is just learning how to play the game, learning the controls, etc. And then it develops into this incredible and convoluted game and setup. It's a really good story, but I quit reading quite a while ago. It's a very time-consuming read. And I'd like to get back into it, but unfortunately I have several hundred more hours to put into Skyrim. That's all I have for you this week. I will be at the Philly Trans Health Conference later this week, so if you feel like saying hi, say hi. I'm coming with my partner. I finally bought a tank top for the designs that I am selling for my top surgery, same as my t-shirts. This is the navy. The only thing I have to say about these tank tops in regards to trans men and trans masculine folk, the armholes are kind of long, so like you can't see it because my binder is black, but if I pull it down, it comes all the way down to here, and then the straps are a little thin. So also this, like, the collar comes down really low, so I keep having to pull it back up. So if that, just doing the typical trans guy thing. What up, Trace Ross? Really great to be back on the channel. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to see all of you soon at the Trans Health Conference. Come say hi, rub my beard. And yeah, that's it. Hopefully you enjoy the topic, and if not, I'm so sorry.